Over the last 2 days, I've been running in two different shoes that I never thought would be comparable, but very much are. The first, new Saucony Endorphin Azura, and the second, the Asics Megablast.
Azura, Azura, zoom toward futura. Azura, Azura, zoom toward futuro. Azura, Azura, zoom toward futura. Azura, Azura, zoom toward Azura.
So here I am, another day with a Saucony Endorphin Azura. The Azura is becoming my go-to daily trainer, with no exception. Unqualified greatness from this shoe. I mean, that's not true. There's a ton of qualifications here, but as far as my enjoyment levels and the reliability and the speed and the snappiness of the foam, I am loving it. I am nearing the end of Septology by John Foss, and it is still unclear whether or not I'm gonna get a big cathartic moment, but there's still a lot of tension in the plot. There's something like atmospherically unresolved about it, and I have my theories about what that is. And I feel like I can't tell if it's just me that would have those theories, or if that's how it's actually meant to be read. It's like I have a headcanon to the plot that's going on, and I think I know how it's going to resolve. And even if it doesn't resolve that way, I still think I'm right. It's hard to explain. I'm also running right now. That's not easy to go slow in these. They just want you to go fast. The foam is so nice and sharp and pointy and punchy as well. But like a sharp punch, not a dull punch. Fantastic. It's definitely crazy how much I'm noticing that temperature impacts things. Where today it was still colder than I was expecting, but it's like 20 maybe a little under 20. And compared to 0, it is so much easier to run. Cold take. It's easier to run in 90 degrees with high humidity than it is in 0-degree weather, period. Super shiveringly ice cold take. Super hot take. I think Power Run PB is awesome. Alright. 12 miles, 8:02 pace. And right before I left this morning, I was sitting at my desk, and suddenly it was like my neck exploded. The biggest pain on the left side of my neck. Just sort of like how you would wake up with a crick in your neck, that type of pain. But it came on suddenly, without provocation, just in my neck. I don't understand what happened there. And that's where I think the nausea is coming from, actually, because it wasn't present until I had experienced that pain. Very strange. But yeah, Saucony Endorphin Azura. What a shoe, man. This is raising its caliber. It is improving in my esteem of it. It is a phenomenal shoe. And honestly, I know I was pretty critical about the weight, but I think that a lot of the weight is coming from the structure around the heel. And fortunately or unfortunately for the shoe, I think that's where a lot of the stability is derived from. And yeah, it feels so nice through the corners. Like, this is one of the best cornering shoes that I have. It's very, very stable for me, and it feels punchier than the Evo SL. I think maybe it's missing a little bit of the top end that the Megablast might be able to pick up on, but I think it handles the slower paces a little bit better than the Megablast. Like, for example, on the last mile, I don't know what happened. I think I bonked on a 12 mile. Like, I guess I really must just be missing some food, and if I'm thinking that, that's probably true. But yeah, the last mile of this, I slowed down a bit, and even the mile before that, so the last 2 miles, I think that was fine though, because the shoes, the Azura, didn't insist upon continuing to blast. It was just like, oh, you're bonked? Okay. Plane. Yeah, there was a plane. Alright. I'll save my Labrador energy for another time. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow for the comparison to the A6 Megablast. I'm back with the Megablast. It's day 2 of this 2-day comparison between the Saucony Endorphin Azura and the A6 Megablast. And now I'm running in the Megablast, in case you couldn't tell. I actually ran this morning at Run Club in the Azura again, back-to-back runs. That never happens for me. I'm almost always in a different shoe on back-to-back runs. But I had such a good run yesterday in the Azura that I decided to carry it over into today. So, without further ado, this is going to be a short one because I already ran 10 this morning. So let's go. Boston. We're back with the Megablast. So far, some quick Megablast thoughts. The foam has like a deeper resonance to it. Feels like maybe there's a bit more compression going on. And feels a little like predisposed towards really letting the power down, but the heel geometry feels a little less, I don't know, ergonomic for me. And the fit is narrow. It's just narrow. It's the same size. They're both 9.5s. It's a narrow fit. I'm really not a fan of these shorter efforts in any shoe. Because I'm always thinking like, oh, when can I bail out? Because it's like, there's no time to settle in. So I'm always apprehensive of the run coming to a close and sort of idling back and forth in the same place. But the added benefit is that it's short, so that doesn't last very long. And we're back in the studio with the Saucony Endorphin Azura and the A6 Megablast. Over the last 2 days, I have been running in both of these shoes. The Azura, I ran in sequentially for 2 whole runs in a row, which is crazy because I ran yesterday in them and then I took them for a run at Run Club this morning, which went really well, as expected. I actually ran to Run Club because I managed to get my car stuck in my makeshift driveway on slick ice. It's still stuck to this very moment. I'll have to deal with that tomorrow. So a little about the 2 runs that I went on. First, yesterday's run in the Azura was pretty up-tempo, really quick. I got some really fast miles in. Felt peppy underfoot the entire time. Really enjoyed my time with it. And it was about, what was it? It was 12 miles, I think, yesterday. It all blurs together. It's all one big run at this point. And then today, another 10 in this morning, proving itself to be a competent daily trainer. If you could run back-to-back days in a shoe without feeling like any of the foam is less resilient than it was the day before. That's a good sign. I mean, this is a pretty new shoe, but I think I already have something like 60 miles on it just because I've been enjoying it that thoroughly. And then today in the Mega Blast, it was literally just 6 miles, the shortest run I've done in a very long time. And it was to get my double day in. And the only reason it was so short is that I got 10 at Run Club. Typically, I'll split up my double days a little more evenly between the morning and evening run, but this time that's just how it shook out. So I want to go over bit by bit, component by component, what I liked, what I think could be improved about each of these shoes, and sort of compare them to each other. I want to start with the upper because I think this is the biggest area of comparison or gap between the two. And the Azura has the better upper by a lot, with one small exception. And we'll cover that exception first. The laces in the Azura, very bad. Very, very bad. They're stretchy. They also like compress upon each other in a way that they don't reform. So it feels like they might not actually last a long time. I've never broken laces before in my life, and it's probably not gonna happen with the laces on this. But frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if it did. So just poor showing on the laces, Saucony. Don't use these ever again, please. Thank you. And Asics has the nice serrated laces on the Mega Blast. That's where the wins for the Mega Blast on the upper end. Every other part of the upper is better on the Azura. From the heel, not having what I would consider an excessive amount of padding, the Mega Blast having a sort of excessive amount of padding, or at least an amount of padding that's incongruous with the rest of its upper. It's like a really padded heel when the rest of the upper is super race fitting. It feels like a sort of split personality on the Mega Blast. I've talked about this before. I'm not going to harp on about it. I guess there's also this nice little pull tab here. I like a pull tab, but I mean, okay, sure, that's a good other little tiny win for the Mega Blast on the upper. But the structure on the upper in the Saucony, the volume is perfect. Even though there's a few unnecessary elements on the upper here, like all of these ribbed gills, I think that they do add to the structure of the shoe, so maybe they're not so unnecessary after all. And something that I've been noticing over time, especially yesterday, is that even though I don't know why they needed to use this like baseball feeling material for the heel, and I don't know why this plastic, like rubbery plastic bit is at the back of the heel. I don't think that's necessary. That said, I think the heel construction works really well for me, and it actually keeps me locked down very well and keeps me planted through the corners a little bit better than the Mega Blast. It's not something that the Mega Blast is bad at, but navigating sharp turns isn't quite as enjoyable in the Mega Blast as it is in the Azura. It's just that this is a more nimble shoe, and there's almost no weight difference between the two, despite the Mega Blast having, what, like 6 more millimeters of stack, 5 to 6 more millimeters of stack in the heel, and the same drop. So overall, way taller shoe. And I have actually a lot of thoughts on that. So I guess we could just scrap the rest of the upper. One thing I do have to mention on the rest of the upper is that, again, being in the Mega Blast, it is like unacceptably narrow in the forefoot. It's pretty weird. Especially like these are both the same size. I haven't run in a lot of things that are as narrow in the forefoot as the Mega Blast, like throughout my entire time. I don't even think the racing shoe, I don't think that the Metaspeed Edge Tokyo is as narrow in the forefoot as the Mega Blast. Super strange decision. Okay. Midsole now, not to get my Ed Bud on, but midsole now, the difference between the two is that the beaded Piba in here feels heavier, so they can't use as much of it and get away with as light of a weight as the Mega Blast. And again, like I'm used to running in really light shoes, so neither of these is what I would call like in my category of super lightweight. I know that pretty much anybody will disagree with me on that, and rightfully so, because realistically, these are both like 250 grams. That's a great weight for the amount of foam that you're getting. It's even more impressive in the Megablast, and I think that this foam is definitely more advanced and more propulsive feeling than the beaded PIBA, the Power Run PB, but I don't think it's that much more impressive. I think where it's more impressive is not the way it feels as the lightweight of it and the like power per pound or like torque per pound. I don't know the measurement, but like power output per weight unit per gram. Like you get way more power output per gram of foam in the Megablast than you would in the Endorphin Azura, and it's just more modern, right? This is I could feel in my hand the density of this foam and how much weight is going into the midsole compared to the Megablast. It feels airier in the midsole. It feels like, yeah, there's it's just as firm. I mean, neither are firmer or less firm than the other. Really, like maybe even the Megablast is firmer. It's really hard to say. They feel different underfoot. I would say the Megablast feels punchier. It's like a gut punch, and the Azura is like a flick or like a snap is the cliched word to use, but it's a snappier, clickier, clippier, higher cadence feeling foam. It's not as like oomph behind it as the Megablast, and like that's just really words fail me, and it's hard to describe such subtle differences in underfoot sensations. And I like both of these a lot for the underfoot sensation. I think they both feel fantastic. I like a firmer shoe. So if you also like a firmer shoe, that might be applicable to you. That's your ball. I know that's your ball. You're so big. Just a minute, please. I think that now we have to talk about a thing that I've mentioned quite a lot with the Mega Blast, and it's the price. It's the question comes to mind, is there a $75 difference between these two shoes? The Azura is $150. Mega Blast is $225. Is there a $75 difference between these two shoes? I think that you know the answer to that without me even having to ask it. I don't even think the Azura is any worse than the Mega Blast at all, not even on a price to price comparison. I think the Mega Blast is overpriced. I don't think you should have to pay $225 for this shoe. I like it a lot. This is getting pretty close to 300 miles on it. But, you know, maybe what if I'm getting those miles on this because I paid so much for it and I feel like I have to? Because the fit is narrow and it does bug me sometimes. Now, today, not so much. I actually was having a really pleasant run in this today, and it felt punchy and I felt really alive under my foot, and yeah, it was great. It was a great run, and I've had that experience countless times with the Mega Blast, and the fact that the foam is still going so strong at near 300 miles now is pretty astounding. It's a great feeling, right? It's not unheard of. Most shoes probably should last 300 miles or more, but the fact that there's not been a precipitous drop off, like a lot of PIBAs, I feel die really early, like 100, 150 miles. And so having a better foam, an aliphatic TPU, or a more durable foam, if you don't want to call it quite better than PIBA, because PIBA has its own really fun sensation. But, you know, it's like the durability in the Mega Blast does lend a little bit of weight to its price of $225. It just doesn't, it's not worth $225 because of the upper and because that's overpriced for the shoe. Right. You can make up whatever price you want and price your shoes at whatever you want, but that's part of doing this review process, is that if there are shoes that I find to be competitive at similar types of run for the same or less money, right, you got to talk about price at that point. And it's, if there was $25 between the two, right, you know, it would be a more fair comparison, but there's no reason to buy the Mega Blast if the Azura exists. Like you could get 90%, maybe even 95% of the shoe that the Mega Blast is out of the Azura. And honestly, you can maybe even get more. It depends on how durable the beaded PIBA is in this. I have a ton of miles on the Tier Valkyrie Speedworks. That's also beaded PIBA. It feels identical to the beaded PIBA in this. I bet they both got it from Arkema. I bet it was both foamed in similar factories. I have no doubt that if not the same factory, it was done using the same process. All I'm saying is that the Tier Valkyrie Speedworks held up, I don't know how many miles because I wasn't tracking, but it's definitely over like 150. That would be my best guess. And it's holding up perfectly fine, right? So if this foam, the Power Run PB, holds up perfectly fine for the same duration as the Megablast, there really isn't that much between these shoes for me. I think both of them have a similar issue. The heel geometry isn't exactly my favorite. I would prefer it if they cut some of the heel down a little. And I don't know. I go back and forth on which one I prefer geometry-wise. I think through the corners, it's a no-brainer. I like the Azura a lot better through the corners. I think on a straight line, it depends also what pace you're going. I think that the Megablast has a higher top end. It's like a higher ceiling for how fast you could get it going. But for consistent fast miles, not rapid miles, I think maybe the Azura has the edge. But this is what I'm saying. This is a very tight comparison for me. And I know maybe a lot of people won't put these two in the same category, but I'd urge you to consider, if you are one of those people that would say that they're in different categories, the Azura being more in the daily trainer, Evo SL category, and the Megablast being the super trainer category, I would urge you to like think about it and think about it from what you're actually feeling under your foot perspective. I feel like the Azura is almost as tall as the Megablast. It feels that way. I don't know why it feels that way, but to me, it doesn't feel like there's any difference in stack height here. Maybe it's the density of the foam, maybe like the heft or the width of the midsole in the Azura. I can't really say, but it feels like they have very similar stacks. They have very similar pace ranges. This is a snappier foam in the Power Run PB is snappier and flickier and like tappier, lighter touch. Pingier is another word I would say. Megablast is much more punch you in the face, guttural. Right? Those are the qualitative differences that could be totally different depending on your stride and depending on who you are as a runner and how you experience these things. I think that for my style of running, the Azura works a little bit better generally. The Megablast also works really well for me, except for the upper. So it's really not, this is why I'm trying to come back full circle to like, it's not actually one's better or worse. And it's not actually that they're in different categories for me. Like, I feel like these are both in really similar categories. I think that the Megablast could be a better daily trainer if it had a better upper. And I think the Azura could be a little bit faster if they got rid of some of like the baseball texture and the weird plastic-y thing back here and really got airier foam in here if they switched this to an ATPU. I mean, then there would be nothing between the two, and the Azura would be the clear better shoe. And as it stands, I am currently, because I've owned the Megablast for a long time, so just bear in mind, I was really excited about the Megablast when I first got it, but I am currently enjoying the Azura more. I'm enjoying this pretty much more than any other shoe that I own. It has been such a joy. I've been having a freaking blast in the Endorphin Azura. I'm going to continue to get miles on it, grind out miles on this shoe. And the Megablast will stay in the rotation for this foreseeable future because I still enjoy running in it. So not a clear-cut comparison. And that makes me really happy because we truly are living in the golden era of running shoes. And with that, I thank you. And as always, stay in motion.